On December 7th, 1941, the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. On December 8th, the Japanese attacked the British colony of Malaya. On December 10th, they landed on the Philippines. On Christmas Day, they captured Hong Kong. The Japanese armies continued driving south, crushing Western colonial forces in their path. They occupied French Indochina and took the British bastion of Singapore. At the end of February 1942, their invasion fleet appeared off the coast of Java. As the Japanese grew near, Indonesians quietly hoped. In 90 days, they had seen an Asian country humble the power of England, America, and France. Perhaps the ancient prophecies of deliverance were about to be fulfilled.
You might have heard that there was a Joyoboyo king in the 13th century who predicted that once Indonesia will lose its freedom, and then later on, after so many years of white supremacy, will come a yellow ox coming here in Indonesia only for the duration of the maize plant, of the corn plant. And after that, then we will be free. Well, that is the Japanese. So when the Japanese arrived, my mother, is planting a corn plant to see whether it comes true.
Eight days later, the Dutch surrendered all of Indonesia. Seeing their masters humiliated, Indonesians rejoiced. After 300 years of Dutch invincibility, it truly seemed that a miracle had happened.
The Indonesians lined up the streets and cheered the Japanese troops who came marching into Jakarta after the defeat of the Dutch army. I was there waving to them, shouting to them, "Banzai!" Very happy, that now the Dutch were gone from Indonesia.
The Japanese proclaimed Indonesia free from colonialism, and they promised a glorious future in what Japan called the Greater East Asia Co-Prosperity Sphere.
They said it is Asia for the Asians. It's part of the nationalism, yeah? And so Sukarno and other leaders believed at the beginning they come to help us. But you have the same problem after that. After they have been here 1 year maybe or more, then they are colonizers.
Indonesians soon found themselves laboring for Japan as they had formerly labored for the Dutch. A member of the Japanese Occupation Command remembers.
Materials.
Raw materials. Japan was only interested in the raw materials. Foremost was oil, then there was tin, bauxite, rubber. All those things that we did not have but needed. Japanese policy was to take advantage of people like Sukarno and to give them some form of leadership. Sukarno was grateful to the Japanese for having gotten rid of the Dutch, but he also doubted if Japan would ever deliver on its promises of independence. Even with these doubts, he felt he had to get as much as he could from the Japanese.
Sukarno took a dangerous course. He became a propagandist for the Japanese and tried to use the pulpit Japan gave him to carry on his campaign for Indonesian unity and independence.
Kita mendirikan negara Indonesia yang merdeka, bersatu, berdaulat, adil dan makmur, yang tetap menghargai budi jasa Dainipon dan hidup sebagai anggota yang sejati dalam lingkungan keluarga Asia Timur Raya.
But Sukarno's pact with the Japanese proved to be a devil's bargain, as the Japanese began to demand more than rhetoric. The Japanese needed more manpower. They ordered Sukarno to lure Indonesian men into work battalions. The Japanese called them Romusha. Sukarno told them they were heroes of labor.
Kita ini menjadi racun bagi musuh, dan tiap-tiap butir batu yang saudara angkat menjadi peluru bagi musuh yang akan menghancur leburkan musuh itu. Maka saudara-saudara akan bekerja dengan giat. Marilah saudara-saudara kita mulai bekerja. Sekarang kepalkan saudara punya tangan semuanya. Mari kita dengungkan bersama-sama semboyan kita. Tirukan perkataan saya. Hancurkanlah. Musuh kita. Itu. Inggris. Amerika.
The Romusha were shipped off to forced labor throughout the Japanese Empire, where they died by the thousands.
After the war, I met two young Indonesians who were formerly belonged to this contract coolies or Romusas of the Japanese army. And they looked like some guys who came out from Belsen camp, the Nazi camp in Germany. Because they told us we were like this, we were sick. If everybody who was sick will not be given food by the Japanese, no medicines. Only if you continue to work, then they will give you some medicine and some food. Otherwise, they did not give you anything at all.
The suffering of the Romusha still haunts the memory of Sukarno's role in Indonesian history.